immigration officials considering making changes to repatriation exercises. The former prime minister is not impressed with the New Day government, and the economic affairs minister addresses inflation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Friday, January 14th. Labor and Immigration Minister Keith Bell says that there could be some changes to the repatriation process. He made this comment outside of Parliament on Wednesday. The decision to make changes comes since the start of the new year. Immigration officials have apprehended a number of illegal migrants in Bahamian waters.
Most certainly, I don't necessarily want to preempt cabinet, but the one that I just met with my executive team this morning, and one of the things I asked them is that we have to collaborate more and determine, with the help of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and the Ministry of National Security, whether we ought to begin repatriating at sea. Once they're intercepted, the United States does it, and I intend we spent $250 million on those vessels and upgrading our bases in our last administration, and I believe the time has come for us to now begin repatriating at sea.
Minister Bell could not give reporters an exact number as to how many illegal migrants are in custody. However, he did note that a number of immigrants that have come into the country in recent weeks are Haitian and Cuban nationals.
As you know, we live in a democratic society. There's due process. They have been taken into custody. Some have been taken to Grand Bahama, others brought to New Providence. All of them would eventually be brought to New Providence. Some have already been before the courts, and the courts have ordered early deportation. We're in the process. We have already repatriated a number of them already. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can get it to you. We have repatriated a number of them already to Haiti, and we're in the process of communicating with the government of Cuba to make sure that they are repatriated in a timely manner. We stand committed to ensure that we protect the Bahamas for the interests of Bahamians, and we intend to do that throughout this year. As they come, we intend to ensure that we send them back immediately.
The immigration minister is also assuring that no migrant apprehended has died. Former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis suggesting to the media earlier this week that Prime Minister Philip Davis and his administration do not have a clear plan to flatten the COVID-19 curve in the country amidst the ongoing spike in cases. Dr. Minnis, on the steps of Parliament on Wednesday, also noted that the Prime Minister did not do much of anything during his recent national address.
Before election, he spoke about them having a strategy, they having a plan. We expected them to present a plan. He presented no plan. Basically, he said that we are at war with the virus, but you're on your own. That's what he said. So basically, that's like telling your troops that, listen, you're going to fight a battle, but there's no plan. There's no strategy, but I'm going to provide you with mask and a test, but there's no plan. You're on your own.
In recent days, health officials have seen an increase in positive COVID cases. Prime Minister Davis has gone on record to say that lockdowns and curfews are not on the table despite the rise. Meantime, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville told reporters on Tuesday, just before the weekly cabinet meeting, that COVID-19 policy rules are under review.
But the bottom line is there are no strategy and there are no plans. But once you analyze and monitor and look at your contact tracing, the areas that are having the great impact, that's how you determine the way forward. Without that, you are guessing. You are guessing. And that don't work. That don't work in war. In war, you strategize.
As of January 12th, total confirmed cases in the country stand at 29,908. 6,182 cases are active, with 119 of them in hospital. Viral reports of significant price increases at food stores and wholesale outlets here in the capital set social media ablaze this weekend. Following this, our news team reached out to Economics Minister Michael Halkitis for his thoughts on the problem of inflation in the region.
You know, we import the vast amount of what we consume here in this country. We import, 90+% of what we consume. I'm not talking food, but I'm also all goods, right? And there have been, over the last few months, what they call supply chain problems, supply chain issues, meaning because of the COVID pandemic, which has sidelined workers, and in some cases, factories were closed down, goods weren't being produced as much. In the U.S., for example, you see, the economy opened back up, more consumer demand, and so the supply has been having difficulty keeping up. So you see prices going up. And so because of shortages in those, and the U.S. economy coming back where people want to buy these things, but there's shortage or there's not as much supply, then you see the price going up. That's what we call imported inflation.
Minister Halkitis goes on to say that regional analysts and ministry officials are predicting the effects of this supply chain disruption on the cost of consumer goods to be temporary and are expected to resolve themselves within the next few months.
Hopefully. Some of the analysts are saying that this is a temporary situation and the supply chain issues will work themselves out. So we are hopeful that as we move over the next couple of months, that would level off and we can see some reduction in prices. But it's something that we really can't control. But we import from the U.S. and other places because we import, most of what we produce.
The economics minister also notes that the best solution to imported inflation is self-sustainability in the areas of agriculture and consumer goods. There is no denying that many young people are seemingly lashing out with violence and antisocial behavior that has led to death and severe injuries and loss of property. While at the reception for Bash Week, founder Terry Miller and social expert Dr. Jacinta Higgs sought to give some of the reasons coupled with solutions for the rise in violence among our youth. Jarino Saunders has more.
While speaking virtually at the official launch for the Bahamas Association for Social Health, or BASH Week, Dr. Jacinta Higgs, Director of the Department of Gender and Family Affairs in the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, sought to give reasons why the country has seen what appears to be an increase in violence, deviant and antisocial behavior among young people. She believes a part of it stems from education surrounding life skills.
Sometimes we think that, leave the social skills to the parents or to the family members. But no, the purpose of education, the genesis of education was to socialize the young people and the children toward becoming productive, contributing citizens. And so therefore, problem solving, conflict resolution, patience and motivation, anger management, grief therapy, these are critical, especially grief, and so that grief therapy is going to be critical.
Dr. Higgs is also of the opinion that many young people are dealing with emotional pain and stress brought on by any number of factors, including the loss of loved ones to the COVID-19 virus or to violence. Meanwhile, Terry Miller, founder of BASH, says it is this very same grief that many young people are experiencing that is wreaking havoc on society. He says the new Build a Skill Youth project at BASH is aimed at helping such troubled or misguided youth.
Many of our young people are having issues with interacting with each other, social interaction. They're angry, they're fearful, they're going through a lot of anxiety. And so we want to train these young people in how to manage their anger. Grief therapy. Dr. Higgs mentioned the fact that so many young people have lost family members during the COVID pandemic. But I think of the many young people who have lost close family members to gun violence and to murder in this country. Thousands of them. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle this grief. And it's coming out like a pipe that has too much pressure, and it's bursting out in anger and in violence. And so we have a perpetuation of this violence, and we want to capture that group and help them with grief therapy.
Mr. Miller says more young people are turning to drugs to deal with their problems. Meanwhile, Dr. Higgs believes following the COVID-19 pandemic, there will be much uncertainty for many young people. She says government and society in general will have to find new and meaningful opportunities for young people, and their post-COVID education will be critical.
Coming out of COVID, we will need, and even during, as we are still experiencing it, we will need an increase, amplification in the offerings for our young people, because there are going to be so many gaps that would have occurred as a result of the lockdowns and the shift to virtual learning and teaching, that I am so pleased to see that you are offering soft skills, social skills, and hard skills in terms of certification programs for young people. And this is particularly very much needed in our country.
Dr. Haig says the programs at BASH are in line with the government's sustainable economic and social development goals and should be documented and supported. Jarino Saunders, JCN News.
Thanks, Jarino. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.